Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, April 27th, 2020, and I pray that all is well. I pray that everybody is doing good thus far. This video has started recording, so for anybody that's watching the playback, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you all support in the transition of the virtual classes. I think my phone is I don't know what my phone trying to do, but anyway, with all of that being said, we are going to go ahead and get started. So, as always, if anyone is joining me, please make sure that your cameras are off and that your phone is on mute. We want to make sure that we cancel out any background noise because it will be a distraction and we cannot afford any distractions, okay? So today, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss and review main idea, supporting details, how to find the main idea, and why main idea is so daggone important. Because it is. All right. All right. So first thing is first, if you are watching the playback video, this part of the message is for you. Make sure that you take a moment to read this first slide right here. If you see me popping cough drops, feel a little tickle in my throat. So we want to make sure that we combat any type of whatevers, okay? Um, do not mind me, okay? So, as always, please make sure if you are watching the playback video, make sure that you are watching this in its full entirety. It is very important. Do not skip over anything. Do not be like, okay, I don't know, what's going on. Just make sure that you watch everything from the first slide to the last slide. There may be some valuable information that I leave in the description box or as a pinned comment on my YouTube channel. So please make sure that you are doing that. Very, very, very important. All right. So as always, what I normally would do, excuse me, what I normally would do before we would review our warm up and get into the lesson, I always would do a mental check-in on Mondays. I call it mental Monday check-ins, but I also wanted to include the emotional side of it. Remember, emotional is how you feel. Mental is dealing with the brain, okay? um so I have some questions up here. How are you feeling? How is your mental and emotional health today? Okay. In times like these, it's so important that you continue to move forward and strive for greatness. I understand that it may look like a setback and you may feel like giving up. Or some of you, if I can be truthful, some of you all have already given up. And to be 100% honest, I am disappointed, but that's neither here nor there. I still love you, but I just want us to be better in certain things. But remember, setbacks are only setups for a comeback. As I always tell you, you being my students, and for anyone that comes across this video, we will champion through this pandemic together. We will weather the storm and come out triumphantly. Okay. I encourage you that if you feel like your mental or your emotional health is breaking down, or if it's gotten to that point where depression, anxiety, nervousness, those types of things may have triggered, please reach out to somebody and talk to them. If you do not want to talk, sometimes we like to keep stuff in. Sometimes we like to just try to figure it out on our own. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay. But please, the following things, these are things that I normally would do if I start to feel like, oh my God, I don't know where to turn. Oh my goodness. Um, Start a journal, meditate, find something that will help keep your mental and emotional health strong. And I love you. I love us for real. I really, really do. One of the things that when was in class, what I would do is play a lot of music. Music would really keep me calm. It would keep me grounded. Sometimes I would even sing to my class. And so music has helped me deal with a lot of stress. It helps me de-stress. It helps me, analyze things in a different way. So that's why I always use music as a way to help me when I feel like my mental capacity or my emotional capacity is getting ready to break. Okay, so as always, I want to encourage each and every one of you, find an outlet, a positive outlet, okay, in handling these types of situations. And again, I know the pandemic has really have the world at a standstill. Like, I know that, but please make sure that you reach out to someone. Make sure that you talk to someone. Don't bottle all that stuff inside. You know, it's not healthy and it's just not a good thing. So please, if you have a family member that you can trust, a best friend, even talk to your pets. You know, sometimes we think that our pets don't understand what it is that we're saying, but they really, really do. And they're very compassionate and they love us. So please just reach out. All right. And I don't know who that was for, but I pray that you received it. All right. So, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started with main idea. Now, main idea, what's the big idea? What is the main idea? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. The purpose of the paragraph or text. All information in the paragraph should connect to the main idea. Some information is not important. Good readers identify key ideas. So again, this goes back to reading comprehension. If your reading is not as strong as you feel it should be, or if you feel that your reading can be a little better, or if you feel like, my reading, I feel like I'm a good reader, but I still have some challenges with picking out certain things and with vocabulary, there is a site, and I will leave it in the description box and or in the pinned comment section on my YouTube channel. It is called ReadWorks, readworks.org. Okay, and it is fabulous. It is a free site. This is the site that I use for my students when we talk about vocabulary, reading comprehension, and the different types of literary elements, such as figurative language, text structures, main idea, inferences. So you must set up an account, and it is free. Okay, so especially a lot of things, a lot of the resources that I do give out, they are free. So please, as I always tell my students, take advantage of these resources, okay? And especially with the times that we are facing, a lot of these resources have opened up for free. Some of the ones that you normally would have to pay for, they are offering maybe a 30, 60-day trial. So please do your research. Google is your friend, but I guarantee you that readworks.org will help you practicing finding the main idea, identifying the main idea, and we are also going to talk about the two types of main idea as well. So there's a lot of main ideas going on today, but we are going to make sure that we cover each and every point. Okay, and as always, we're going to be doing some practice as well. So make sure that, again, if you are watching the playback video, make sure that you watch the video in its full entirety. All right, let's see here. All right. It is very important that you read the whole text. Now, on your GED English exam, well, on all of them, but mainly your GED English exam, there's going to be a lot of passages, and they're going to be very, very long. Okay. It is so important that, again, you make sure that your reading comprehension is strong. You make sure that, number one, that you are reading something every single day, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's an online article, whether it's a book, it doesn't matter, a magazine. Read something every day for at least 25 to 30 minutes. That is going to strengthen your reading comprehension. That's going to strengthen your reading skills. That's going to strengthen your vocabulary. And those things are very important on all of the GED tests. Okay. So please make sure that if you are not doing anything, make sure that you read something. Okay. There are a lot of free articles out there on the World Wide Web that you can, go to as a resource. There are plenty of other resources that you can use as well. for strengthening your reading, but I beg you, please make sure that you are reading something every 25 to 30 minutes each day, because again, this is going to help with strengthening your reading comprehension, your vocabulary, and your reading skills. Okay? So you have to ask yourself the question, what is the author doing here? Okay? Pay extra attention to the first and last sentence. The reason that you want to do this is because 95% of the time, 95% of the time, the main idea will be found at the beginning of the passage or the story. Okay? 4% is not a lot, but 4% you'll find it at the end. And then there's a very rare case, a very rare instance where 1% of the main idea will be found right in the middle. It's very, very rare, but it happens. But a lot of the time, the main idea, not like I say, 95% of the time, the main idea will be found at the beginning of the passage or the paragraph or the story or whatever it is that you're reading. Okay. So now what I want you to do is, and I think I have one student that is on now. I'm not sure. But if you are on, thank you so much for joining me. I definitely appreciate your participation. But I'm going to take a moment and allow you to read this particular paragraph about Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And I want you to find what the main idea is of this paragraph. Okay, so I'm going to give you about, it's a short paragraph, so about 2 minutes to read, and then we are going to discuss what the main idea could potentially be. Okay. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes, I suppose. But if not, it's okay. Remember, these are just practice runs, and as always, you are more than welcome. And I strongly encourage and implore you to watch the playbacks, okay, on my YouTube channel. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first men to walk on the surface of the moon, but they were not the last. That was Gene Cernan, the last man to step off the lunar surface. In total, there have been 12 men who have walked on the moon, all of them whom had done so between 1969 and 1972, which is the most recent non-Michael Jackson moonwalking. And for those who don't know, Moonwalk was a dance created by the greatest of all time, the GOAT, okay, Michael Jackson. And that is not up for debate. I'm just letting you know. He is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time entertainer, singer, producer, you name it. He's done it. All right. It's not up for debate. All right. So the question I have is, what do you think the main idea of this paragraph would be? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to dissect what we've just read. And of course, dissect means to cut up. All right. Now, understanding the main idea, you must first comprehend the text. So again, you have to understand what it is that you're reading. It is so very important. This is not the time to assume. This is not the time to, well, I think I know what they're talking about, or if you don't know, it is okay. It's okay not to know everything. That's why we are here. That's why we are learning. That's the reason why it's so important that you ask questions or do your own research. Take initiative. We have nothing but time, people. We have nothing but time. So I just want to encourage you, if there's something that you don't know, or if there's something that you are interested in knowing, Google is your friend. Research is your friend. I promise you. Okay. You must first comprehend the text, focus on the biggest idea. So let us go back here. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first men to walk on the surface of the moon, but they were not the last. So this whole entire paragraph is simply talking about the fact of moonwalkers, men walking on the moon or walking on a linear surface. Okay. Now that's in blue right here. So I just want to make sure that you all can see that. Okay. And as you can see, we have pieces and parts that we've read, which is related to the main idea. Armstrong and Aldrin, first men to walk on the moon. That's a supporting detail, and we're going to get into that momentarily. Cernan, I don't know if I'm saying that right, was the last man to walk on the moon. Okay, that's another supporting detail that can go with the paragraph talking about moonwalkers. 12 men have walked on the moon. That is another supporting detail. So we've taken three supporting details, and it all goes back to moonwalkers, giving their names. They necessarily didn't describe how they walked or when, or well, they did say when, but not giving specifics about, when they did it. Okay. They gave names, they gave dates, they explained or told us how many men have walked on the moon within a 3-year span period. Okay. So those are the things that you want to look for when you are reading these long passages. You have to ask yourself, what is this story about? What is this story talking about? And once you answer that question, then you can get to those supporting details. Okay. Now, semantics. Semantics is a fancy word for wording. True story. As you all know, and I'm not bragging, but this goes with what you're reading here. I am taking a certification course for my Mimeo board expert level certification. Okay. So what I'm presenting all of my lessons on is called Mimeo Studios. When we were in going to class, it had this big old, it was basically like a big old tablet. It was a computer. It was uh, a tablet. It was everything. You could do everything with. It's like a big old tablet. But that was called the Mimeo board. Okay. So I am working on my certification, my expert level certification in that particular course. Semantics are very important. And semantics, again, is nothing but a fancy word for wording. Okay. So we have a video we watch, we have activities that we have to do for practice, and of course, there is a quiz. You must make an 80% or 100 on the quiz. You cannot make anything less than an 80 because there's only 5 questions. Okay, so the wording on a lot of these questions throw me off. Number one, they throw me off because I am an analytical person, meaning that I overthink. Okay. And I have to process things in such a way to where it makes sense. Because if it doesn't make sense to me, my brain can't compute. It just doesn't compute. So I say all of that to say, as it relates to what you're reading here, test writers may ask you, another good title for this passage would be, okay? It's just the way of asking for the main idea. So you have to make sure, again, that you understand how words work. That is so important. Because again, you'll be like me and you'll overthink. And you'll mess around and get an 80 when you know you should have gotten a 100 on that on your quiz. And I'm gonna be honest, the first two, I made an 80. I was like, okay. But the wording tripped me up. The third quiz that I took, I said, I'm getting 100 on this. No wording is going to trip me up. So I got 100. The fourth and the fifth one, oh, I took those over. I made it 80. Let me be clear. I made it 80 on those, but no. Because the wording, the semantics of it all threw me off. So you have to make sure that you understand that there may be different ways that the question may be formatted, but it means the same thing. Okay. So just keep in mind that when they ask you, another good title for this passage would be, that's just another way of them asking you, what is the main idea of the story? Okay. So hopefully so far you all understand that what the main idea is. I hope you all understand some techniques that you can use to derive and find the main idea. And number three, making sure that you understand how the words work. Okay, it's very important. I think that's it right there. All right, so now I'm going to let you all work on some practice. This is for any students that I have here and that is watching the playback. All right, so we're getting ready to practice. It says summarize each passage in one sentence, including the main idea. So the word summarize means to brief. Okay, it's very important. Make it brief, make it simple, make it concise. Okay, unless you're like me, who has to be detailed in everything. I don't know why I'm wired that way. It is what it is. Uh, all right, and it says write an appropriate title for the passage. Your title should relate to the main idea of the text. Now, let me say this. Excuse me. Let me say this. Again, it's very important that you understand what it is that you're reading. For example, if you were reading a passage and they talked about apples, what the different types of apples, what kind of, apples grow in different regions of the world and all of those things, you wouldn't simply say this story is about fruit. Okay? Fruit is very broad, meaning that it's generalized. But a lot of times when you read something, it's very specific, meaning it's narrowing down to a particular topic or particular subject. So please make sure that you understand that you cannot have something broad, or you cannot have a broad main idea when a particular topic or subject is being presented to you. Okay. So again, the example I used, if you're reading something about apples, nothing but apples. It didn't mention anything about oranges. It didn't say anything about bananas, pineapples, mangoes. It's simply apples. You cannot say the main idea of this story is about fruit. Now, if it had, as an example, if they talked about different types of fruit, such as apples, oranges, bananas, grapes, if they talked about that, then of course the main idea would be this story is talking about fruit and the importance of eating healthy or whatever it is that you're reading. So please do not make the mistake, and please do not make the assumption that just because it is talking about something specific that you can generalize it. I really hope that makes sense. Okay, that's very important. My goal and my job as your favorite nerdy educator is to make it make sense. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and practice. Okay, so I'm going to give you all maybe 3 minutes to read this very carefully. Remember, if there's a word that you do not know, if there's a word that looks unfamiliar to you, please write it down. Make sure you're taking notes. And when this class has, finished, you are more than welcome to look up any words and to see what they mean, so that way you can have a better understanding. So I am going to go ahead and I'm actually going to cover my camera because, again, I am recording and I honestly do not know how to do all of these things. So I'm just going to cover my camera, give you all about 3 minutes maybe to read this and to come up with the main idea. Remember, Either it's in here or it's not. But that's up to you. Okay. And we'll talk about it momentarily. I will be back after these messages.
Good morning.
Good morning. I believe that's Miss Tiffany that's just joining us. We are working on main idea right now, Miss Tiffany. So what I would like for you to do, I would like for you to read the paragraph that is on the screen share, and I want you to come up with the main idea of that paragraph. We have about another 2 minutes before we go over it.
I'm just on phone call.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, be sure that you watch the playback, but we will go over it momentarily. Okay, we have about 1 more minute, and then we are going to go over this particular practice. Whoop! And I'm back. Yeah, remember, I do not know how to cut off cameras and stuff for Google Meet. So, well, especially when you're sharing the screen. So, yes, I just had to cover the camera. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and read out loud the paragraph, and then we can have a discussion about the main idea. Okay. Assassination. An assassination is the murder of a famous person, usually a celebrity or political figure. Many famous assassinations have been attempted, but fewer have succeeded. Here's a brief overview of some famous successful assassins. Lee Harvey Oswald was a former Marine who allegedly killed President John F. Kennedy. Ironically, Oswald was himself assassinated by a few days later by Jack Ruby. Mark David Chapman was a mentally deranged man who shot and killed John Lennon, lead singer of the Beatles. But perhaps the most notorious assassin of all is John Wilkes Booth, who killed President Abraham Lincoln while Lincoln attended the theater. Okay. So again, for those who are, just joining us, we are talking about the main idea, how to identify the main idea, how to recognize the main idea. And remember, main idea can come in three different places: the beginning, the middle, or the end. It's very rare that main idea is found in the middle. However, main idea is mostly found in the beginning. Okay. And sometimes it can be found at the end. All right. So, based on what I read here, and anyone that is in the that's watching the video or that's in class with me right now, can you tell me what you think the main idea is? Okay. Well, the main idea. Well, remember the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what is this story talking about? So, is it safe to say that this story is talking about assassinations? It is, because it starts off, an assassination is the murder of a famous person, usually a celebrity or a political figure. Okay. Now, that necessarily is not the main idea. It is just giving you a definition of what an assassination is. Many famous assassinations have been attempted, but fewer have succeeded. So I'm going to go ahead and underline this. Oh, that looks weird. Okay. Ugh. Okay. Many famous assassinations. Ooh, and y'all know my lines are not straight. So please don't judge me. Okay. But fewer have succeeded. So that will be the main idea of that story. Many famous assassinations have been attempted, but fewer have succeeded. Okay. So remember, the first part just gave us a definition. So this blue part, it just tells us, I did not like how I wrote that line, y'all. Y'all know I'm real particular about my lines and everything. All right. All right. So this just gives us a definition of what an assassination is. A lot of times when we read certain things or read passages or read stories, they may give us a definition just to set us up on what it is that we're getting ready to read. Does that necessarily mean that that's the main idea? Not all the time. Okay, simply because a definition is exactly what it is, a definition. Okay, so what I have underlined in the blue is a definition of an assassination, but the main idea, what the story is talking about, is many assassinations have been attempted, but fewer have succeeded. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go to I am going to go to the next one, and I'll go ahead and read this out loud. And for anyone again that's watching the playback, we are going to discuss what this main idea is. Okay. Nicki Minaj, a rap phenomenon hailing from Queens, New York, has a new honor to add to her resume. Top search Halloween costume based on a person for the 2011 season. Nikki edged Nikki edged out her popular costume searches such as Charlie Sheen. Though no commercial Nicki Minaj costume kit is available, there are a lot of helpful hints available online that show people how to get that Nicki look. The popularity of the Nicki Minaj costume search was only edged out by the Angry Birds costume search, which was the most searched costume for this year. Now, let me go ahead and put this out here as well. Miss Hampton didn't type all this up. I have time, but I ain't got that kind of time. I actually found this PowerPoint online, and I think it's doing a pretty good job of explaining what main idea is and giving us practice examples of how to find the main idea. So Ms. Hampton will not take credit for any of this. Um, and also, I do not think that they're calling Nicki Minaj an angry bird. So let's not, I think Nicki Minaj is a very beautiful young lady, but I do not think that they're calling her the angry birds. So please do not misconstrue that. All right. So, what is this story talking about? Well, the story is talking about Nicki Minaj. Okay, so we know what the story is talking about, but what is it about Nicki Minaj that the story is referring to? So we're going from broad or generalized statements, and we're trying to hone in and make it specific. Okay, or make it about a particular thing. Okay, so we know that the story is about Nicki Minaj. We know that. Okay. We also know that it's also about that is terrible. Feel like I'm driving or something. That's just terrible. All right. All right. All right. We also know that this is referring to Nicki Minaj and the top searched Halloween costume. And remember, y'all know I can't see, so if it looks like I'm writing all over the place, I'm really not. I'm just trying to keep everything as straight as possible. All right. All right. So, is it safe to say that our main idea for this particular, um, I guess for this particular paragraph or story or topic or passage would be to say that Nicki Minaj had the most top search Halloween costume based on the person for the 2011 season? I think it is. Now, the question that I have is, where is this found? Is this found in the beginning? Is this found in the middle? Or is this found at the end? I think it's found at the beginning. Okay, it's not necessarily in the middle, so to speak. It is at the beginning. Okay, so remember, your main idea can be found in three different places. It can be found at the beginning, which is 95% of the time. Whenever you read a passage, your main idea, boom, is going to tell you what the story is about, and then after that, it will lead you with supporting details. Okay. You like I said, you have that 4% that your main idea is found at the very end or maybe next to last sentence of your paragraph, story, or your passage. And It's very rare, and I cannot stress this enough. It's very rare that you will find your main idea right in the middle. That's that 1%. Okay. All right. All right. So let me see how many more we got. All right. Cool. All right. So I want to do one more, and I will read this out loud. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is there are two more after this, but I will use this as the playback assignment. So I will read this out loud, and then we can figure out what the main idea of this particular paragraph is. Okay. The Greek word dienos means terrible, powerful, or wondrous. Combine this with the Greek word soros, which means lizard or reptile, and you might get dinosaur, which refers to huge creatures that roamed the earth millions of years ago. The term dinosauria was coined by English paleontologist Richard Owen in 1842, which was meant to express the idea that dinosaurs were terrible reptiles or fearfully great lizards. Over the years, dinosauria gradually became dinosaur, which is the word we use today to describe those giant beasts from the past. Okay, just some friendly advice. It is also to my advantage, and again, I'm not bragging. Um, a lot of the words that we speak and a lot of the words that we write and when we have discussions, they are all derived from Latin. Okay, either Latin or Greek. And again, in order to understand how words work, you may have to do some research and do some digging on certain words. Okay, prefixes, suffixes, root words, base words, word origins. Those things are really important because, again, you want to make sure that you understand what it is that you're reading. I cannot stress this enough. A lot of times we just read to read, but it's equally important or as important that we make sure that we read to understand. And then we take it a step further and we understand what it is that we've read. Okay. I really hope that that's making sense. So, as always, I'm just encouraging you all take some time out to look up some Latin words, look up some Greek words, some root words, some base origins, prefixes, suffixes. I think that's something that is a lost art. I am not even quite sure if K through 12 is even learning about prefixes and suffixes. Maybe they are. I'm not quite sure. But when I was growing up, we had to learn prefixes, suffixes. We had to learn base words and root words and what all these words mean. And I think that's the reason why now I'm a logophile. And a logophile is a person that loves words. I do. I love words, especially words I've never seen before a day in my life. I'm like, oh, that's a word. So even at my age, I never stop learning, and it's very important that you get into your spirit that no matter what age you are, how old you are, you have not reached the pinnacle of knowing everything. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to grow, and there's always room to learn new things. Okay, so again, I just want to encourage you all. Learn these things. Learn what some of these words mean. Take the base words and the root words and the Greek um, origins of them and the Latin origins of them. That's very important. Okay. So anyway, enough about me preaching about words and such. Um, Again, I will read this again, and then we're going to discuss the main idea. The Greek word dienos means terrible, powerful, or wondrous. Combining this with the Greek word soros, which means lizard or reptile, and you might get dinosaur, which refers to huge creatures that roamed the earth millions of years ago. The term dinosauria was coined by English paleontologist Richard Owen in 1842, which was meant to express the idea that dinosaurs were terrible reptiles or fearfully great lizards. Over the years, dinosauria has gradually become dinosaur, which is the word that we use today to describe those giant beasts from the past. So, the question I have is, what is this whole entire passage talking about? Well, if you are thinking that it's talking about dinosaurs, you're absolutely correct. Okay? It's talking about dinosaurs, but what about dinosaurs? What about them? Okay, so those are some of the things that you have to think about. Okay? Now, in this particular instance, I think the main idea is at the end. Okay. Sorry, my phone made a weird noise and I'm trying to understand why it's making weird noises and it's on silent. Okay. So it says over the years, dinosauria gradually became dinosaur, which is the word we use today to describe those giant beasts from the past. Okay. So I honestly feel, and this is, and if I'm wrong, we can have a discussion or we can have a, you know, a healthy debate, if you will. But I honestly feel that the one instance that the main idea is coming at the end is here. Okay. Oh, see. All right. Ooh. Now, when you watch the playback, what I'm going to do is I am going to read this last sentence as my first sentence, and I'm going to make this last sentence my first sentence, and I want you to hear if it flows or not. Okay, and that's the other thing too. You want to make sure that when you are finding the main idea, you want to take the main idea out to see if you can put it in the front or at the beginning of the paragraph or at the end. And if you and once you do that, and if it still flows, if it's still concise, if it still makes sense, then you know that what you have chosen is your main idea. So that's another technique that you can use in the event that your main idea is found either in the middle or at the end. You can take it out and you can put that main idea at the beginning of your passage and reread it. And if you feel like it flows and if you feel like, okay, this still sounds good, then chances are you have identified your main idea correctly. All right. Over the years, dinosauria gradually became dinosaur, which is the word we use today to describe those giant beasts from the past. The Greek word dianos means terrible, powerful, or wondrous. Combine this with the Greek word sauros, which means lizard or reptile, and you might get dinosaur, which refers to huge creatures that roamed the earth millions of years ago. So I didn't read the whole thing, but I wanted you to hear the flow of that last sentence and me putting it at the beginning. And again, I could be wrong, but I honestly think I'm right. But if you feel like Ms. Hampton, I really think that the main idea is something else, I am open to a discussion and I have no issues and no problems with that. Remember, healthy dialogue, healthy conversations bring on different perspectives and it brings on great viewpoints which works for your writing. So make sure, as I always tell my students, make sure that if you got a question, hey, I have a question, Miss Hampton. I'm not understanding what this means, or if you want to challenge anything that I say, I welcome that as well. But of course, we always have to maintain a level of respect and making sure that we are, doing what we do. All right. All right. So now I have 10 minutes left. And now what I want to do is this is for the playback. So if you're watching this, this is going to be your assignment for the playback. I have two more um, paragraphs. I want you to read each of these paragraphs, and I want you to identify the main idea of each paragraph. Okay. Now, of course, make sure that you are turning in your assignments to me. If you are watching the playback, that's very important. That way, you will still be able to get your credit for that day. And also, this goes towards your hours for class. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one up. I'm going to leave this one up for about maybe, I don't know, 3 minutes. And then I am going to go on to the next one. But remember, the beautiful part about playbacks is you can pause it at any given moment and you can read the paragraphs in its full entirety, and you can determine what the main idea is. Okay, so I will leave this up for about 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cover the camera, and then I will go on to the next paragraph. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, I am going to show the final um, paragraph. Alrighty then. So I am back. All right. So again, if you are watching the playback video, your assignment is to read the last two paragraphs. The first paragraph is referring to the Navy or something. And the final paragraph is talking about something that we're going through right now, a pandemic, dealing with diseases and sicknesses and things like that. So I pray that this is not a trigger for anybody, okay? But again, I would like for you all to take an opportunity to read those two paragraphs, and I want you to find the main idea. I want you to email me your answers, and I want you to explain why you picked what you picked. Okay. And I'll check it and give it back to you. See, for those of you all who wanted me to grade work, I have no choice but to kind of grade it now. So please make sure that if you want me to grade your work, you email me. If you do not have my email address, please send me a text, because I'm not going to give it online, because, people be trying to find me. But please make sure that you get in contact with me some way, somehow, so that way I can provide you with my email address. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and stop this screen share. I have about 3 minutes left, but I think I'm going to go ahead and end this session early. I just want to acknowledge the students who are on here today. All right. I can't see because that's in my way. Okay, so it looked like Miss Tiffany may have I don't know, maybe her call dropped. I'm not quite sure. But thank you, Miss Brittany, for joining me on today. Please make sure that you watch the playback videos and you do the assignment, and make sure that you email me those assignments, so that way you can still get your credit for today. Okay. With all of that being said, are there any questions, any final comments, anything of the like?
No.
Okay. Well, again, Brittany, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you joining me this morning. Please make sure, because I forgot you did call in, so you couldn't see all of the assignments. So please make sure to go and watch the playback videos and do those assignments. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, again, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you all. And to anybody that's watching this playback, thank you again. See, that's my little vocal range right there. I sing to y'all again. So thank you all so very much. Again, for joining me this morning for the English class. We will be talking about main idea for the next couple of days, because I really want to make sure that we can identify and apply these things, of course, not only to English, but of course to social studies and science as well. So, Miss Tiffany, thank you for joining us. Did you have any questions about anything today?
No, I just need the pen for the math,
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be sure to provide that for you. Okay.
but
I,
pertaining to today's mm-mm.
all righty. Okay. Well, it's 9:59. We're not gonna prolong this any longer. We're gonna put a little pretty bow on it and wrap it up. So again, make sure that you all watch the playbacks, do the assignments, turn them into me. I did post some more work up on Khan Academy for the English. I think I put more science up there. Yeah, I put some more science up there. So please make sure that you do those. And so that way you all can still receive your credit. And with that, Miss Hampton loves you. There's nothing you can do about it. Even if you wanted to do something about it, you can't. Okay. So I pray that you enjoy the rest of your day. I pray that you all have a wonderful, blessed week. And hopefully I'll be seeing you all every day this week, and praying for your families, and y'all stay safe. And I'm out of here. We out. See, that's
Thank
fine.
you. You too. Bye bye.
And that's my alarm going off. So I'm out.